This is the FM Gold channel of All India Radio in the program Spotlight. We now bring you a discussion on Defence Expo 2020. The participants are Lakshman Behera, Senior Research Analyst, IDSA, and Mahendra Ved, Journalist.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi today inaugurated 11th DEF Expo, Defence Exposition, India's biggest and one of the world's biggest, today in Lucknow. Lucknow is the venue for this conference, this expo, which 1,024 delegates have come from foreign and national organizations. 165 foreigners from 70 countries are there. Professor Lakshman Behera, what is the basic objective of this DEF Expo?
Well, there are a number of objectives of any exhibition, and the Defence Expo, which India is conducting since late 90s, the basic objective is to provide a platform for both Indian companies and the foreign companies to come together and then showcase their products and services. Now, as the 11th edition Defence Expo shows, there is a large participation and over 1,000 companies are participating. But the heartening part is that most of those companies are the Indian companies. So both public sector companies and private sector companies. And if you look at the details, most of these companies are from the Indian private sector. And this provides them a perfect opportunity to showcase their products not only to the Indian armed forces but to the global audience. As you know, there are several ministerial delegations, business delegations visiting this expo, and so this is a perfect platform to showcase their products and services. And as the theme is rightly kept, as India as the emerging defense manufacturing hub, so that gives a good opportunity to all of Indian companies to showcase their products.
Ministers and leaders from 40 different countries are going to be attending this, and Prime Minister has made two major points. One is Uttar Pradesh as the hub, and there is already a defense corridor which includes Uttar Pradesh, and Uttar Pradesh already has a well-established defense industry. The BEL is there, several units of HAL are there, and several defense ordnance factories are there. UP is already big, and Prime Minister has been looking for it for a much larger role. And secondly, as you mentioned, the much bigger role is expected of small and medium industries, entrepreneurs. And the whole field is being kept open for us, for them. And the whole effort is public-private partnership.
Yes, that's true. So Uttar Pradesh, if you look at Government of India's policies, so they have already launched two defense corridors, so one in Uttar Pradesh and another in Tamil Nadu. And Uttar Pradesh this time is hosting the Defence Expo, and naturally, so this will be an opportunity for the companies who are already there to attract further investment. So in fact, the UP corridor has already got investment commitment over 3,300 crore, and now the government of UP is pushing very hard to make this northern corridor, UP corridor is also called the northern corridor, more attractive for the investors. So the idea is to promote or create an ecosystem where all the major players and minor players, small and medium companies, they are located at one place, and then they contribute to the defense manufacturing. And defense manufacturing not only will help India's self-reliance objective, but will also create employment opportunities for a vast segment of the local people. The Defence Expo coming in UP is a big step forward for the UP corridor.
Some of us being there since the first DEF Expo, it has evolved over the years with this emphasis on PPP. You should see this DEF Expo having a lot of government to government, business to business meetings taking place. You find that there are 19 business conferences have been slated, in which you find the various chambers of commerce, FICCI, CII, PhD, SOCHM, and United States India Business Council, Synergia. They are all involved in this thing.
Every expo actually provides a number of meeting points for the participants to come together and then discuss issues. So the fact that these conferences are organized not only for the Indian companies but also provides an opportunity for the foreign companies. And then there is a big meeting that is going to be held, that is India-Russia Strategic Partnership meeting. So
the fifth one will take
the fifth one. So that actually takes the level to much higher place. This is a perfect setting for getting all the defense related people and business people to one place and then discuss the core issues. And I think it will help both the Indian companies and the foreign companies, because as I said earlier, this is a meeting point and where the business deals can be signed, MOUs could be signed, and then maybe the foreign partners, they can show some inclination to do some business with the Indian companies or the foreign companies. So this not only generates business, this is a perfect place for business leaders to come together and then
Yes, the
discuss.
emphasis is on getting original foreign manufacturers.
Yes.
This involve many more people, and as you said earlier, a lot of companies have already come to India and they're already collaborating with India.
Yes. The Indian defense policy allows equity investment or FDI up to 100%. So that means any foreign company can come and open up a plant and factory here and start manufacturing, provided of course the government of India gives a security clearance. So with the liberalization of policy which happened under the aegis of Make in India initiative launched by the Prime Minister Modi, so India offers a very attractive place. So number of companies have already started manufacturing here, and that is the objective, to promote more JVs. So like in the UP itself, there is a big JV that has been found between the Russian companies and the Indian state-owned Ordnance Factory Board to manufacture the latest AK-203 rifle for the Indian Army. So this is an FDI and a joint venture between two countries, and more such joint ventures are encouraged, and this will bring investment, and this will promote India's Make in India initiative and promote self-reliance and indigenization.
A slight diversion. India has traditionally bought a large number of equipment from the Russians. This has been the tradition for the last 50 years, almost 60 years. But there has been a lot of diversion taking place. So you see that diversification coming in the form of people coming and attending this Expo?
Yeah, that has also helped because India has a large number of suppliers, unlike during the Cold War.
So
when
South Africans, Israelis,
French, British, now of
there.
late Americans. So Americans have done several big deals with Indian MOD. So over $18 billion in the last 10 years, that's not a small number. So there is a natural inclination among the American companies to look into Indian companies, and then this Defense Expo gives them another opportunity to come, and the fact that you narrated that there are several business meetings happening and US IBC is one of them. So that will bring the American companies and the Indian stakeholders, Indian companies, to a common platform, and they can identify the areas where more business can take place.
Yes, besides this US IBC, you find that the Americans have made a real pitch. The ambassador, Mr. Kenneth Justa, held a press conference yesterday, and he made a couple of interesting points. One of, they are ready to sell many more of this C-130GS Super Hercules and a lot of other systems. Indeed, Republic Day last month, there were 4 American weapon systems on display at the holiday parade.
Yeah,
Which has come after a very long time.
Yes, it's a fact that since 2005, after signing the nuclear deal, so on defense front, there has been a lot of cooperation, and India has signed around $18 billion worth of arms equipment, arms deals with the Americans, and some of them have already been inducted and in service with the armed forces, be it C-17 or C-130J or P-8I, the ultralight howitzers. So these are in our inventory. So of course, when something is there in your inventory, so you have to showcase in your Republic Day parade. So that shows that American equipment are being inducted and they are being fielded and it is being showcased. And
What is there in our inventory, roughly, what would be the criteria?
Russia still dominates because there are a lot of legacy issues, and since when we buy something, we operate it for a very long period of time.
Yes.
So sometimes 40 years and 50
the
years.
Russians would be about 60%?
Around
More?
60% roughly.
Around 60.
Yeah. So
it used to be 70 plus once upon a
yes.
time. Yeah.
So now that Russia is slowly vacating some space for the Israelis and the Americans. So Americans and Israelis, they have taken almost 15% of the total inventory. So I guess their share will continue to rise at the cost of, maybe at the little cost of Russians. And that is inevitable because we are following a diversification policy.
The American envoy made some other point, products so much. And in fact, he has said that only $15 billion have been allocated in this budget.
Yes.
And he says that part of the reason India is not able to buy much is because of the slowdown of the economy.
When you look at the budget figures, over 90,000 crore has been allocated for the capital procurement. So which roughly translates into $15 billion. And if you look at other countries...
Is it more or less compared to last year?
Yeah, it is always less. So resource is always at short supply. But when there is a contract signed, so the government pays for it. So, and this acquisition expenditure keeps on increasing. So last year it was 2019-20, it was 80,000 crore. Now 10,000 crore is the extra which has been given, despite the economic slowdown. And despite Government of India curtailing its own expenditure, So defense expenditure has increased. So slowdown has impacted
So this
defense.
is a healthy sign, yes.
It's a very healthy sign, and I believe it will increase further. But that doesn't stop the Ministry of Defense or the Government of India from signing the essential contracts.
Gets moving and the fund comes in gradually as required.
Exactly.
So one single year's allocation is not necessarily the indicator.
Yes, because when you sign a contract, you pay for over a 6 to 7 year period of time. So out of $15 billion, 15% will go for the new contracts. The rest will be given for the past contracts. So budget, I don't think is a major constraint for promoting indigenization or Make in India. Of course, there would be some difficulties, but those difficulties are not insurmountable.
Some interesting aspects of DefExpo. You have a huge space allocated. It is 60% more compared to what was
96% more, in fact.
From 28,000 square meters to
43,021 square meters this time.
There's also 2 places for display
Yes.
and exercise, and one of them is on the Gomti riverfront.
Yes. So that will be illuminated by the naval ships during the evening time.
Taken care not to damage the riverfront.
Yeah, this also gives an opportunity to the country to showcase the culture.
Exactly.
And apart from the military hardware that you saw, so Lucknow being at the heart of India's culture, so that comes into picture, the riverfront display. So that excites that gives a lot of excitement to the participants and also the local people.
Yes, you actually see the thing.
Yes,
before
see the
you
thing.
take a decision whether to buy it or not buy it or sell it.
And believe me, organizing such a major event is not a small thing. It takes years of preparation by the Department of Defense Production.
I can say I've seen it in the early years.
Yes.
That's why.
And this has grown quite manifold.
The figures you have before are fantastic, absolutely. As you said, a lot of preparation has gone in, and Defense Minister Rajnath Singh released a DefExpo app, and that was way back in December, a couple of months ago. And so you are looking at the whole thing with future.
Yes.
And the other thing is that it is digitizing the military.
Yes.
Part of the theme is digitizing. How do you think that will work?
Yeah, I think the Indian Armed Forces are moving along the technological ladder. So earlier most of the focus was on conventional platforms, but now we are looking at higher technology, be it artificial intelligence or harnessing the space technologies or harnessing the potential of India's electronics sector. So I think that fits very well into the Defense Expo's the sub-theme of digital transformation. So that is a natural course, and I'm glad that the Armed Forces or the Defense Ministry is going along that. So this was inevitable.
I want to make one comment here which is quite positive, and that is that arrangements have been made for 5,000 engineering students.
Yes.
To witness the DefExpo, be part of it for 2 days, and their entry is free. Yes. So idea is to create a new generation of people who are engineering bent of mind and with defense in the horizon.
So I think that's a very good step. Every Defense Expo tries to do some innovativeness, and this time they have allowed the engineering students so that the interest is created, because these people in their future, when they grow in their careers, some of them will be absorbed in the defense industry. And giving them this exposure, and where they can see the platforms of not only the Indian companies but also the foreign companies. So this gives them a very good opportunity, and hopefully that opportunity they will use, and the Indian defense industry will benefit in the future.
At some stage you see that India becoming an international hub, not just national hub, but international hub for defense
manufacturing.
Manufacturing.
Absolutely. That is the ultimate objective of our Make in India and defense self-reliance goal.
Thank you very much, Professor.
Thank you, my pleasure.
You were listening to a discussion on Defense Expo 2020. The participants were Lakshman Behera, Senior Research Analyst, IDSA, and Mahendra Ved, Journalist. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. This program is also available on our website, newsonair.com. You can also follow us on the News on AIR app for updates. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsttalks@gmail.com.